Scotland doesn't begin on a map. It begins with a feeling. With the wind rolling in from the ocean. With the mist hiding the peaks of the Highlands. Here, the lochs are dark and deep, as if they've been holding memories for thousands of years. The islands disappear into cold waters, and castles stand on cliffs like they belong to another age. This is a place where nature speaks louder than people. And every step takes you deeper into history. And this is where the journey through this land begins. If this kind of travel speaks to you, subscribe, because there are still many more places ahead worth experiencing. Scotland is more than just a place on the map. It's a land in the north of Great Britain, where the earth slowly dissolves into the ocean, and the line between land and water is never completely clear. It covers the northern part of the island of Great Britain and stretches out toward hundreds of islands scattered across the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea. And that's where its uniqueness begins. Scotland isn't one land, but an entire archipelago of worlds. Scotland is usually divided into 3 regions. The Highlands, harsh northern landscapes of mountains, valleys, and almost empty wilderness. The Lowlands, softer southern terrain with green hills and denser life. And the Central Belt, the narrow strip between them where most of the population lives. This is where the biggest cities are, Edinburgh and Glasgow. And this is where modern Scotland is most visible. But step just a little farther away and everything changes fast. And the change doesn't happen gradually. It feels almost sudden, like crossing from one world into another without noticing the exact moment it happened. A few minutes ago, cities, roads, people, and then suddenly, open land, wind, and silence. The east and west coasts feel like 2 different stories. The east coast is calmer, more open to the North Sea. There's less rain, more light, and the landscape feels softer. The west is completely different. Here, the Atlantic crashes straight into the cliffs. The rain is heavier, the wind stronger, and the coastline breaks apart into fjords, bays, and islands. This is where Scotland feels at its wildest. And this is where the first real sense of travel begins. Not as moving between locations, but as stepping into a world that lives by its own rules. The weather here is never stable. Sun, rain, and fog can all change several times within a single hour. And that constant unpredictability is part of the country's character. People here don't plan around the weather. They just adapt to it. Nature here isn't just a backdrop, it shapes everything. Thousands of lochs are scattered across the country. Some are wide and open. Others are narrow, dark, and deep, trapped between mountains. The Highlands may not have Europe's tallest mountains, but they carry a different kind of power. They're ancient, worn down by time, and somehow that makes them feel even more majestic. The valleys, glens, cut through the landscape, leading toward rivers, lochs, and the sea. And every one of them has its own story. But maybe more than anything else, Scotland is defined by its islands. There are more than 700 of them, and each one feels like a separate world. The Inner Hebrides sit closer to the mainland, with dramatic mountains and rocky coastlines. The Outer Hebrides lie farther out in the ocean, more exposed, windier, and more isolated. And then there are the Orkney Islands in the north, with a completely different rhythm and an even deeper history. When you arrive here for the first time, there's a strange feeling, like you're not simply traveling, but returning to a place that existed long before you did. On many of these islands, Gaelic is still spoken, a language as old as the land itself, a language that still carries the memory of another Scotland. The culture here is just as powerful as the landscape. Scottish clans still exist today. Each has its own history, its own land, and its own tartan, a unique pattern passed down through generations. The kilt, which today feels symbolic, was once practical clothing. It allowed people to move through marshes, mountains, and freezing winds. And even now, these traditions remain part of Scottish identity. And then there's whiskey. Not just a drink, but an entire culture. Every region has its own flavor. The islands produce smoky and intense whiskeys. The lowlands are lighter and softer. The highlands are deep and complex. Here, whiskey tastes like history, climate, and land, all in one sip. Scotland doesn't try to make itself easy. It doesn't reveal itself right away. You have to walk through it, see it in the rain, feel it in the fog, hear it in the wind. And only then does it begin to open up. And that's why we keep moving forward, to see the places where this country feels the most alive. Edinburgh is a city that doesn't need explaining. You only have to see it once, and it stays with you forever. The capital of Scotland rises across volcanic hills, and you can feel it everywhere. The streets don't simply run through the landscape, they grow out of the stone itself. The city feels split into two worlds. The old town is medieval, dense, and dark. Narrow alleys, towering stone buildings, and the sense that history never really left. It's still here. Above it all stands Edinburgh Castle, a fortress sitting on top of a cliff like a natural extension of the land itself. It has witnessed wars, kings, and centuries of change, and it still remains the heart of the city. Stretching down from the castle is the Royal Mile, one of Scotland's most famous streets. A ribbon of stone connecting the castle to Holyrood Palace. Every meter here feels like history. But beside it exists another Edinburgh. The new town, spacious, bright, and geometrically precise. Sandstone buildings, straight streets, and a sense of order. This is the era of the Enlightenment. And it's this contrast that makes the city unique. Here, the medieval and the modern don't clash, they coexist. To truly see Edinburgh, you need to climb higher. Arthur's Seat, the ancient volcano watching over the city. From the summit, the entire panorama opens up. The city, the sea, and a horizon that seems endless. And it's from here that you realize, Edinburgh isn't just a capital city. It's where the story of Scotland begins. By the way, if you're enjoying these videos, please leave a like. It really means a lot to me. After the city, Scotland changes instantly, and you feel it the moment you arrive on the Isle of Skye. This isn't just an island, it's a world of its own. The land here feels untouched by civilization. Cliffs falling straight into the ocean, mountains rising through the mist, and wind that never seems to stop. The ocean here feels open and powerful. The waves travel thousands of kilometers before crashing into these shores. One of the island's most iconic places is Niced Point, a cliff reaching out into the Atlantic, and a lighthouse standing at what feels like the edge of the world. Nothing here needs explaining. You just stand there and watch water meet stone. Deeper inland, the landscape changes again. The Old Man of Storr rises into the sky like the remains of something ancient and impossible to understand. And not far away are the fairy pools. Crystal clear water flowing between rocks, forming natural pools. Everything here feels like legends could actually be real. But Skye isn't only about famous landmarks. It's about the feeling of the space between them. Roads winding through endless hills. Empty valleys where there's nothing except grass and wind. Places where you can drive for hours without seeing another person. The weather changes everything within minutes. Light appears and disappears. The fog reveals the mountains and hides them again just as quickly. And that constant movement makes the landscape feel alive. Skye has a very specific atmosphere. Celtic, almost mythical. this place doesn't feel familiar. It feels older than the stories themselves. And this is where you begin to feel the real Scotland. The road through the Highlands is its own part of the journey, and one of its symbols is the Glenfinnan Viaduct. A stone curve stretching across the valley, 21 arches suspended above the landscape. It looks like it has always belonged here, even though it's a masterpiece of Victorian engineering. The viaduct is part of the West Highland Line, one of the most beautiful railway routes in the world. The train moves slowly, and it feels less like it's crossing the landscape and more like it's becoming part of it. Around it, classic Highland scenery, grass-covered hills, water reflecting the sky, and a feeling of endless open space. Below the viaduct lies Loch Ness, long, calm, almost completely still. This is where the feeling of the road truly appears, not as transportation, but as experience. And maybe that's why this place became part of cinematic imagery. But even without that, it works perfectly on its own. This is a place where nature and humanity, for a brief moment, move in the same rhythm. Some places feel like they were created to represent an entire country. Eilean Donan is one of them. The castle stands on a small island where 3 lochs meet. Water surrounds it from every side, and it feels as though it rises directly from stone and mist. A narrow stone bridge leads toward it. Simple, but perfectly placed, as if connecting 2 worlds, land and history. The first fortifications appeared here back in the 13th century. The castle was built as protection against Viking raids and as a strategic point controlling the waterways. Over the centuries, it survived wars, sieges, and destruction. In the 18th century, it was almost completely destroyed, and for a long time remained nothing more than ruins surrounded by water. But in the early 20th century, it was restored, stone by stone, with respect for both its form and its spirit. Today, it looks almost unreal in its perfection. And it's exactly that sense of completeness that makes it so recognizable. Water, stone, mountains in the background, and light that changes every minute. Eilean Donan isn't just a castle. It's an image of Scotland itself, something that feels like it has always existed. Some places live not only through reality, but through imagination. Loch Ness is one of them. The loch stretches for nearly 40 kilometers through the Highlands, like a dark ribbon between the hills. Its water is deep and cold. In some places, more than 200 meters deep. And it's that depth that creates the feeling of the unknown. The water here looks almost black. Because of the peat and minerals, it doesn't reflect light. It absorbs it. And in that darkness, the legend was born. Nessie, the creature people claim to have seen beneath the surface. For decades, people have traveled here hoping to witness something unexplained. But even without the legend, Loch Ness has its own power. There are almost no sounds here, only the wind and the gentle movement of the surface. But if you stay long enough, you start noticing other things. The way light changes across the water, the way the waves move slowly, as if something beneath them is breathing. And it's in that silence that imagination starts to work. Loch Ness isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. A place where the line between reality and myth becomes almost invisible. After the wild landscapes, a city appears. Inverness is the quiet center of the north. It's often called the capital of the Highlands, though it never tries to feel like a big city. The River Ness runs through it, splitting the space in two and setting the rhythm for everything around it. Life moves slower here, without sharp contrasts, without the noise of larger cities. Inverness Castle stands on a hill above the river. A modern structure, but one that still feels built on an ancient foundation. From here, the view opens over the city and the plains stretching toward the sea. Inverness isn't a place where people stay for long. It's a place people pass through. This is where travelers buy supplies before the road ahead, stop for the night, and continue farther north or toward the islands. But that's exactly what makes it important. It's a transition point, a border between the familiar and the wild. And this is where another Scotland begins. Ullapool is a small harbor town that almost feels accidental. But places like this are often the ones you remember the longest. It sits on the shores of Loch Broom, where the water cuts deep into the land, creating a calm, natural harbor. White houses stretch along the coastline, and their simplicity makes the place even more recognizable. There's no rush here, only boats, wind from the ocean, and the sound of water slowly moving through the bay. This is a fishing port, and that identity can still be felt everywhere. The smell of the sea, fresh seafood, small restaurants where everything feels authentic. But Ullapool is also a point of departure. This is where ferries leave for the Outer Hebrides, the islands lying farther out in the Atlantic. And there is a special feeling in that, as if you're standing on the edge, still here, but already partly somewhere else. In the evening, the town grows even quieter. Light reflects across the water and everything slows down. And this is where a different rhythm of travel begins. There are places that truly feel like the edge of the world. The Outer Hebrides are one of them. A chain of islands stretching through the Atlantic, like the final boundary between land and open ocean. Space feels different here. The horizon is wider, the wind is stronger, and distances feel deeper somehow. These islands seem remote not only geographically, but in time as well. In many villages, Gaelic is still spoken, not simply preserved, alive. The culture here feels different, quieter, more closed off from the outside world. In some places, Sunday is still treated as a day of silence. Almost nothing is open, and that creates a completely different rhythm of life. But what leaves the strongest impression is the landscape. The beaches here look nothing like what most people expect from Scotland. White sand, bright turquoise water, and almost no people. Sometimes it feels like you're completely alone here. But the water is freezing, and the wind quickly reminds you where you are. The ocean here isn't just scenery. It dominates everything. It shapes the weather, the sound, the space itself. And because of that, these islands feel like the true edge of Europe, a place where there's nothing farther ahead, only water and an endless horizon. In the middle of all this open space, something completely different appears. The Callanish Stones. Standing here for more than 5,000 years, older than most of Europe's famous monuments. The stones are arranged in a circle with lines stretching outward, as if pointing toward directions that once mattered deeply to the people who built them. But their exact meaning is still unknown. Maybe this was a ritual site, maybe a place for observing the sky. Some studies suggest the stones align with the movement of the moon, but no one knows for certain, and that uncertainty creates a feeling of mystery. Around them, nothing but open landscape, grass, wind, and sky. Fog often rolls in, and when it does, the stones partly disappear into it, as if they don't fully belong to this time. There's no noise here, only silence and open space, and the strange feeling that this place remembers something ancient. After the remote outer islands, Mull feels different. Closer, more alive, but still wild. It's one of the most diverse islands in Scotland. Its coastline is carved by bays and cliffs. The sea cuts deep into the land, creating shelter for wildlife and boats alike. The main town is Tobermory, a small harbor lined with colorful houses reflecting across the water. It almost feels unreal in its calmness. But walk a little farther out, and the true wilderness begins again. You can spot seals resting on the rocks near the shore, and overhead, sea eagles appear in the sky, huge, slow, almost silent. The island carries a feeling of freedom. No large cities, no crowds. And from here, it's easy to reach Iona, a place deeply connected to the spiritual history of Scotland. But even without that, Mull is enough on its own. It feels like a concentrated version of Island Scotland. Water, wind, and nature moving entirely at its own pace. After the wilderness, there's a place where it softens slightly. Portree is a small town on the Isle of Skye. Its name means King's Port. And even though there are no kings here today, the town still holds a special atmosphere. The first thing that catches your attention is the color. The houses along the harbor are painted pink, blue, yellow, and green. Their reflections ripple across the water, creating an unexpected sense of calm. The harbor moves to its own rhythm. Fishing boats come and go, and the air smells of salt and sea. Portree is the main base for exploring Skye. Roads from here lead toward mountains, cliffs, and the coastline. But Portree isn't only about movement. In the evening, the town changes. The light grows softer. There are fewer people, and the harbor sinks into silence. A different feeling appears here. Not adventure, but peace. And that's exactly what makes Portree special. Some places feel heavier than others. Glencoe is one of them. This valley was shaped by glaciers. Massive rivers of ice slowly carved through the land, leaving behind a deep and dramatic landscape. Today, mountains rise on both sides, sharp and almost severe in appearance. The scenery here feels immense, not just beautiful, overwhelming. One of the most recognizable formations is the Three Sisters. Three ridges standing side by side like a giant stone wall. But Glencoe is more than geography. In 1692, tragedy happened here. The massacre of Clan MacDonald. Hosts who welcomed guests into their homes were betrayed and murdered. That story left a mark that still feels present today. And that's why the atmosphere here feels different. When fog descends into the valley, the mountains partly disappear, and the landscape somehow feels even deeper. The silence here isn't empty. It's heavy with something. And if you stay long enough, your sense of scale begins to change. The mountains don't simply stand there, they seem to press down on the land itself. The sound of the wind moves through the slopes, and it feels like it carries something older than just air. The road cutting through the valley looks tiny against the scale of the landscape. And people feel smaller too. Glencoe doesn't try to be welcoming. It isn't soft or comfortable. But that harshness is exactly where its power comes from. Glencoe is a place where nature and history merge into one feeling. Severe, heavy, and incredibly beautiful. After Glencoe, the road leads deeper into the mountains, and this is where Fort William appears. A town sitting at the foot of Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in Great Britain. This is where countless journeys begin. Hiking routes, mountain crossings, long days spent in the wilderness. Fort William doesn't really feel like a tourist town. It feels more like a base camp. A place where people prepare for the road ahead. This is where travelers buy gear, check the weather, and plan their routes. And all around, mountains. Massive, heavy, and completely real. Ben Nevis rises above everything. Its summit is often hidden behind clouds, as if the mountain exists in its own separate world. The weather changes quickly here. Sun, wind, rain, everything comes and goes without warning. And that creates the feeling of an expedition. Fort William feels like a frontier. This is where familiar comfort ends and true mountain Scotland begins. A place where you stop simply looking at nature and step directly into it. Sometimes the road becomes more than just part of the route. It becomes the experience itself. Loch Ness is one of those roads. A narrow mountain pass in the western Highlands, climbing high above sea level, slowly twisting through a series of sharp bends. The hairpin turns here aren't just a technical detail. They force you to slow down and feel every meter of the climb. The asphalt rises higher and higher between steep slopes with almost no protection from the wind. And with every turn, a new horizon opens up. From above, you can see the coastline, islands scattered across the ocean, and long stretches of water cutting deep into the land. This road was once the only route to Applecross, a remote settlement on the edge of the coast. And even today, it hasn't lost that feeling of isolation. It's impossible to move fast here, and that's exactly the point. Loch Ness isn't about speed, it's about movement as a feeling. About height, about risk, and about the freedom that appears together with open space. After the road, the landscape suddenly changes. Ploughton is a small village on the shores of Loch Carron. Quiet, almost unnoticed, but deeply special. There are no dramatic mountains here or famous landmarks demanding attention. Instead, there's calmness. Houses line the waterfront, many painted in soft pastel colors. They reflect across the still surface of the loch, creating a gentle, almost motionless scene. But the most unexpected thing here is the palm trees. Because of the mild microclimate, they actually grow here, completely changing the usual image of Scotland. Life in Ploughton moves slowly. Fishing boats rest near the shore. Nobody seems to rush, and it feels as though time stretches slightly here. In the evening, the light turns warm, and the entire village becomes even quieter. Ploughton feels like a pause, a place where the journey slows down for a moment so you can experience a different rhythm of the country. Deep inside Scotland, there's another world. Not coastline, not islands, but a landscape opening inward. The Cairngorms are the largest national park in Scotland and one of the largest in all of Britain. This is a place where nature feels harsher and less shaped by people. There are mountains here, but they're different. Not sharp like those in the west, but broad and massive. Huge plateaus rise high into the sky, and even in summer, patches of snow can still remain. The climate feels almost subarctic, cold winds, sudden weather changes, and an endless sense of open space. Within this landscape survives the Caledonian pine forest, an ancient woodland that once covered much of Scotland. Today, only fragments remain, and here you can still glimpse what this land looked like thousands of years ago. The park is home to countless animals: deer, birds, even reindeer reintroduced here in the 20th century. They move across the plateaus as if this has always been their natural home. But more than the wildlife or the scenery, what you feel most strongly here is space itself. There are no clear boundaries. The horizon blurs. Distances seem larger than they really are. You can walk for hours without seeing another person. And eventually, you stop searching for landmarks altogether. Only movement remains. Footsteps, and the sound of wind that never fully stops. The light feels different here, colder, sharper, and it changes the way everything around you looks. The Cairngorms aren't a place for a quick visit. You have to be inside them. Walk, watch, listen, and slowly realize that this part of Scotland lives by its own rules. The rules of space, cold, and time itself, which somehow feels different here. Aberdeen feels different, reserved, precise, without unnecessary drama. It's known as the Granite City. The buildings here are made from gray stone that begins to glow silver under sunlight, and that creates a very specific atmosphere, cold but elegant. The city stands on the coast of the North Sea, and the sea feels stronger here than almost anywhere else. This isn't a resort coastline. This is working water. Fishing vessels head out to sea and return with their catch, and beside them, another industry entirely. The oil platforms of the North Sea turned Aberdeen into one of Europe's key energy centers. And that duality can be felt everywhere. Old harbors and modern ships, traditional labor and advanced technology. Union Street cuts through the center of the city, mixing shops, offices, and everyday life. Aberdeen doesn't try to be beautiful. It simply works. And that's exactly where its character comes from. Some castles stand on land. Others feel like they hover above it. Dunnottar is one of those. It sits on a cliff rising nearly 50 meters above the ocean. Water surrounds it from every side, and only a narrow path leads to the entrance. To reach it, you first descend and then climb back up again. And even that approach creates a feeling of isolation. The castle carries a long history. Scottish crown jewels were hidden here during the war against Cromwell's forces, and this is where they were saved. The place is also connected to William Wallace, one of the greatest symbols of Scottish resistance. Today, the castle stands in ruins, but the ruins still hold power. The walls blend into the cliff itself. Wind moves through the empty openings, and the ocean constantly reminds you of its presence. Dunnottar isn't just history. It's the feeling of standing at the edge, where stone, water, and memory become one. Dundee is a city that transformed itself. Once, it was an industrial powerhouse, known for three things: jute, jam, and journalism. This was where jute fabrics were produced, marmalade was made, and publishing industries grew. The city lived through manufacturing. But over time, that era came to an end, and Dundee began to change. Today, it feels more modern. Cleaner lines, new public spaces, a completely different rhythm. The symbol of this transformation is V&A Dundee, a design museum standing directly beside the water. Its architecture feels sharp and bold, yet perfectly connected to the landscape around it. Nearby stands another symbol, the ship Discovery, the vessel that carried Robert Falcon Scott on his Antarctic expedition. Today, it remains in the harbor as a reminder of another age. Dundee kept its maritime past, but discovered a new role for itself. This is a city that didn't disappear after change. It reinvented itself, and that's why it still feels alive. St. Andrews doesn't try to impress through scale. It works differently, more quietly. Everything here feels built from stone and time. Above the town rise the ruins of the cathedral, once one of the largest in Scotland. Today, only walls remain, open to the sky and the wind from the sea. Nearby stands the university, one of the oldest in the country. The University of St. Andrews has existed here for more than 6 centuries, and you can feel it. People come here not only for education, but for the feeling of tradition itself. And for golf. This is where the sport was born. The old course lies directly beside the sea, an open field, wind, and a horizon stretching endlessly outward. St. Andrews combines things that rarely exist together: intellect and simplicity, academic silence and the sound of waves. This town doesn't change its pace. It has held the same rhythm for centuries. And that's exactly why it feels so complete. Stirling is Scotland at its strongest. A city standing on the boundary between north and south, controlling the passage between them. It was once called the Key to Scotland, and that wasn't an exaggeration. Above the city rises Stirling Castle, a fortress built on rock, watching everything around it. Kings and queens were crowned here. Mary, Queen of Scots, lived here, and the future of the country was decided here. From these heights, you can see the plains below and the sites of ancient battles. One of them is Bannockburn, the battlefield where the Scots won a victory that changed history forever. Nearby stands the Wallace Monument, a tall stone tower dedicated to William Wallace. But it's not only about one man. It's about an idea: resistance, independence, memory. There's tension in Stirling, not loud, but constant. Stone here isn't just architecture, it's a symbol of power. And even when the city seems peaceful, history never disappears. It remains in the landscape, in the elevation, in the view toward the horizon. Stirling is the place where Scotland was shaped as a nation, and where every hill remembers more than it reveals. Donan Castle feels strangely familiar, even if you've never been here before. It's the classic image of a Scottish fortress: stone walls, towers, an enclosed courtyard. Compact, solid, but its story works differently. Donan Castle appears constantly in film and television. Movies, series, scenes people instantly recognize. From Monty Python to modern historical dramas. And because of that, this castle exists in two worlds: the real one and the fictional one. Here, the Middle Ages intersect with pop culture, and that makes the atmosphere feel lighter. Less heavy than larger fortresses, but no less atmospheric. Doon feels like a pause, a short story that doesn't overwhelm through scale, but works through recognition instead, and leaves you with the feeling that you've seen this stone somewhere before. Glasgow doesn't try to be beautiful, it simply lives, and it does so loudly. This is a city that once built ships, created industries, and worked without stopping. Today, it sounds different, but the energy remains. At the center stands St. Mungo's Cathedral, dark Gothic architecture that survived centuries of change. Nearby lies the necropolis, a cemetery on a hill where stone and silence create a world of their own. But Glasgow isn't only about history. Its true rhythm is felt in the West End. The streets are filled with music, small shops, markets, and people who recreate the city every single day. The University of Glasgow rises above the district like another Gothic silhouette. Old architecture and youthful energy exist side by side here. And somewhere between them flows the Clyde, the river that was once the heart of shipbuilding. Today, it reflects new architecture and the city's new life. Glasgow changed, but it never lost its character. It remained hardworking, honest, and intensely alive. Loch Lomond feels like peace. After cities and roads, it speaks more quietly. It's the largest loch in Scotland by surface area, a vast stretch of water spreading between hills and mountains. Its surface often looks like glass, reflecting the sky, the clouds, and constantly changing light. Islands are scattered across the water. Small ones, large ones, some covered in forest, others little more than pieces of land surrounded by water. This place carries special significance. It marks the boundary between the lowlands and the highlands. And this is where the feeling of space begins to change. The landscape becomes wilder, deeper somehow. Loch Lomond isn't dramatic Scotland. It's softer, and maybe that's exactly why people love it so much. It's a place people return to. Farther on, the landscape opens wider. Loch Lomond slowly transforms into something larger. The Trossachs National Park, Scotland in miniature. Everything exists here. Lochs, forests, hills, and mountains rising gradually into the distance. This is a landscape of transition, between the highlands and the lowlands, between wilderness and softness. The scenery changes quickly. One turn, and you're surrounded by forest. A few minutes later, water opens before you. Ben Venue rises above the landscape, not a towering mountain, but one with a view that seems to gather everything together. From here, you can see how this land works as one connected whole. The Trossachs are often called fairy tale Scotland, and it truly feels that way. There are no harsh contrasts here. Everything flows together softly. Greenery, water, light filtering through the trees. This place doesn't overwhelm you immediately. It works slowly, and that's exactly why it stays with you for so long. Arran is often called Scotland in miniature, and it's not an exaggeration. On one relatively small island, almost everything that defines Scotland can be found. In the north rise mountains, sharp, rocky, unmistakably Highland in character. In the south, the landscape changes completely. Gentle hills, green fields, quiet coastlines. Between them, castles, roads tracing the sea, and small villages. Everything here feels more compact, but no less authentic. Arran lies not far from Glasgow, which makes it feel surprisingly accessible. But the moment you arrive, the atmosphere changes. Life slows down. The local rhythm is simple. Fishing, farms, small communities where traditions still survive naturally. There's even a distillery on the island, and here too, whiskey becomes part of the landscape itself. Arran isn't a smaller version of Scotland. It's Scotland concentrated into one place. Islay is no longer just a place. It's a taste, a smell, a mood you either feel immediately or not at all. This island is known around the world for its whiskey. Several distilleries operate here, each with its own distinct character. But they all share one thing in common: peat. It's what defines the flavor of Islay whiskey. Peat is burned to dry the malted barley, and the smoke seeps deep into the grain, leaving behind that unmistakable, heavy, smoky aroma. Not everyone loves it, but it's exactly what made Islay legendary. The island isn't defined only by whiskey production. In winter, thousands of birds arrive here from the Arctic. The coastline fills with life moving with the rhythm of the seasons. And in spring, everything changes again. The Whiskey Festival begins. An island that's usually quiet suddenly becomes loud and alive. People arrive from all over the world, and for a few days, Islay transforms into the center of a culture that has been shaped here for centuries. Orkney exists on a completely different scale of time. Here, everything begins not with history, but with prehistory. These islands lie far in the north, between sea and sky, where the wind almost never stops. And it's here that some of Europe's oldest monuments have survived. Skara Brae, a settlement more than 5,000 years old. Stone houses built into the earth, preserved so well that you can almost imagine the lives of the people who lived here. Nearby stands the Ring of Brodgar, a stone circle that still remains a mystery. No one knows exactly why it was built, but the feeling of the place is stronger than any explanation. Orkney isn't only about archaeology, it's about life beside the sea. Birds, cliffs, waves shaping the landscape every single day. People here live alongside this environment, not trying to change it, but adapting to it instead. And even modern life feels different here. Wind becomes energy, the ocean becomes a resource, but the atmosphere remains unchanged. And if you stay here long enough, you begin to notice how everything slowly layers over itself. The new resting on top of the old, the present resting on top of thousands of years. The stones don't feel abandoned. They feel like part of a landscape that simply doesn't change quickly. Even the sound feels different here. The wind doesn't simply make noise, it fills the entire space. And eventually, you stop thinking about time in the usual way. This is a place where time doesn't move forward quickly. It accumulates and remains inside the stone, inside the wind, and inside a silence that somehow feels deeper than words. Scotland never really ends. It simply changes its rhythm. We traveled this path from the misty Highlands to coastlines where land meets the ocean. From cities built of stone to places where there's nothing except wind, water, and space. The landscape here constantly changes, but the feeling remains. This is a country where history isn't separated from the present, where castles stand not as monuments, but as part of the landscape itself, where roads lead not only forward, but deeper into time. Scotland doesn't try to impress anyone. It simply exists exactly as it is. And that's what makes it feel so powerful. Maybe that's why people always want to return here, to see another coastline, another island, another world beneath the same sky. And maybe next time, it will become a completely different journey, a different route, a different rhythm of this land. Because Scotland never reveals itself completely. It always leaves something unsaid, something that keeps calling you back. And even when you leave, the feeling doesn't disappear. It stays somewhere inside you, together with the wind, the open space, and those quiet landscapes. If this kind of journey speaks to you, subscribe to the channel. There are still many more routes ahead, where not only the place matters, but the feeling it leaves behind. Because the world is vast, and the most interesting part is still ahead.